Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the WrestlePlug YouTube channel. It is time to give our predictions and thoughts on the forthcoming extravaganza, the premium live event that is WWE Hell in a Cell 2022. I am, of course, the Egyptian death machine of professional wrestling that is Aeron Nix, the owner and proprietor and shithouse remaster of WrestlePlug. Joining me is someone nice for a change. It is, of course, the wonderful face of Astrid Asks, and of course, you can also see her at Love Wrestling on YouTube. It is the wonderful, the beautiful Astrid Bizarro.
Yeah, I'm finally back. Can you believe it?
About time, yeah? Where have you been? Busy.
Yes.
Yeah, you're an international star now. It's hard to nail you down. It is. By the way, great interviews. Great interviews, and I thoroughly recommend people check them out. And obviously, we'll give that plenty of plug-in at the end. But it is Hell in a Cell. Of course, there will be a watch-along, ladies and gentlemen, for anyone watching this thinking, I wouldn't mind watching it with that lunatic with a hat on. Well, I mean, worse off for you, I guess. But if you do want to, we will have a Zoom watch along. You're more than welcome. Just send a message to WrestlePlug at WrestlePlug on social media, and we'll make sure you get an invite. You can come and join the gang. There's going to be quite a few of us watching it live and probably making very offensive jokes. So if you're a bit squeamish, or if, like Astrid over here, you're of a more pure persuasion, perhaps you might want to give that a miss. Speaking of things I want to give a miss, Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin in a no-holds-barred match. It was only made last night on SmackDown. I don't care, but you're a nice person and you care more than I do. Who's winning, and do you have any interest in this whatsoever?
I don't want to say, I guess kind of. I think it would have been better if it was an ambulance match. Didn't Madcap Moss come out of an ambulance on SmackDown? That would have made a little bit more sense. But oh well. No, I'm hoping if this is the last one, because why continue this for who knows how long now. This definitely should be the last match between them. I definitely don't have any interest whatsoever after this. Just please end the chapter on this one. But I don't know. I really don't care who wins it, to be honest. So I really wouldn't mind how it goes. Hopefully it's a good one, because the only SmackDown match we got on the card so far, unless something else happens last minute, which can happen in the WWE world often. But yeah, I really don't care either way.
It does. It's funny you mentioned that, actually. I mentioned this on State Wrestling. This feels like a Raw pay-per-view. There's nothing from SmackDown. There's no Usos. There's no Roman Reigns. There's no Ricochet. Nothing of interest, really. Yeah, no idea what's going. Maybe that's why SmackDown was pretty bad this week, if you ask me. Like, I thought it was awful. You know, the main event was okay, but other than that, I was like, oh Jesus Christ! Like, having a week off, are we, boys? It's normally much better than Raw, but I don't care about this rivalry. I don't care about Madcap Moss. I don't understand why you've given us a few weeks of him being funny Madcap with a hat, and now it's like super serious black trunks. Okay, I don't. It's like Ezekiel to me. Looks great, amazing body, is a decent enough worker, but there's nothing that stands out. Like, I'm not going to watch this guy. I mean, this is the next Roman Reigns. No chance. No chance at all. I actually like Baron Corbin more. At least he's got a bit more of a character. He's better on the mic, in my opinion. Hopefully they'll just do some crazy stunts and it will last about 10 minutes, and then we can fucking move on with our lives, because frankly I'm bored. I will say Madcap Moss seems pretty obvious he's going to win, so that's my prediction. Ezekiel versus Kevin Owen. Speaking of things that probably shouldn't be on a pay-per-view. Go for it.
Yeah, this seems like one of those matches that should have been on Raw rather than a pay-per-view, but whatever, it happens. This is another one it just, like, for me, it's just one of those ways to enjoy Kevin Owens on a pay-per-view, because I wouldn't want him to miss it. But other than that, it's okay. Like, it's kind of funny sometimes, but it'll only be funny for a certain amount of time. After that, it'll get old. So just at the point, I'm hoping this is it, and we can move on from this after that. Please, that's all I want.
Yeah, like, when it first started, I actually thought this was quite funny. It's because Kevin Owens is so good. Like, if Carl Wilkinson was here, he'd be wetting his pants. Although Carl Wilkinson has been MIA for a long time now. I don't know where he's. Please come back, Carl. We miss you. Someone put him on the side of a milk carton. It's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, it was funny. Now it's boring. Get on with it. And Ezekiel has got such a low, even lower ceiling than Elias, because he hasn't got a gimmick. He's just a guy. with, you know, he looks weird clean shaven as well. Like proof that my argument is men always look better with beards. Just saying, they just do. All the sexiest men in wrestling all have beards. Prove me wrong. Even Adam Cole, it might just be a 9 to 5, but he's definitely got one. It's one of those things where I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, and also, wow, Kevin Owens was in the main event of WrestleMania against Stone Cold Steve Austin. We are now 2 pay-per-views removed, and he's wrestling a guy pretending to be the younger brother of himself.
Yep.
Right? Even you're getting my ideas now, so you're stealing my mannerisms. I just, why? Why? And you know Ezekiel's going to go over, which is going to trigger me even more and probably put Carl Wilkinson to sleep for good. So what a disappointment. It's almost like, hey, you got your contract, you had your big main event, now go fuck yourself. It's almost like Vince is punishing him for being too good and taking the money. And even me, who doesn't watch AEW, doesn't like it, doesn't really like WWE that much, to be honest. I'm just here because it's content and I enjoy chatting with the lovely Astrid. I'm just like, probably should have gone to AEW, mate. Probably would have better off there. Probably should have fucked off. Should have dragged Sami Zayn with you as well. Because, yeah, he's not even wrestling anymore. He's now the lackey for the bloodline, which is cringe. But, yeah, I've got Ezekiel. Who you got? Kevin Owens or Ezekiel?
I don't know. Probably Ezekiel, to be honest. But I don't care the way. I would prefer if KO won, but it's probably going to be Ezekiel.
I would love it if they made this like a really short 2-hour NXT takeover style pay-per-view, like they got on tonight, obviously. And then just had those 2 matches we mentioned on the pre-show. Have them both on the kickoff. Then you can choose whether you want to watch them or not. And then you just got 5 matches, which you can be excited about. Because the other matches, to be fair, look, well, 4 of them look great. And one of them looks like it's going to be fucking terrible. Again. Bobby Lashley. Again, a guy who was in the main event, he was in the Elimination Chamber, albeit he didn't really compete because of injury. And this is a guy who this guy was against Brock Lesnar in January, beating him at the Royal Rumble for the WWE title. We are 5-6 months removed, and he is now wrestling a giant tree that has no ability whatsoever, and he's incredibly arrogant manager. I hate this rivalry so much. I hate it. This is probably the worst thing on TV. I feel so sorry for Bobby Lashley. I feel sorry for MVP to a certain extent because it's like, hey, you want to be lumbered with this piece of crap? Not really. Well, tough. MVP's not getting him over. He's not getting Omos over. It's a handicap match. I think that Omos and MVP finally get the win, though, because for some reason they keep losing, which doesn't really say to me, he's a monster and he's terrifying, but he keeps losing now. So why am I supposed to take it? He even got speared for a table on the end of Raw. So I'm like, oh, okay. Do you have any interest whatsoever in the Omos Bobby Lashley saga?
No, I would do anything to have MVP and Lashley back because that was the money team for me, and having like him with Omos, no, it's not for me. I know it's not MVP's fault because I know he can sell you what, like he sold us Bobby in such a way that we want to go back to that, but it's for Omos it's not the same. I'm sorry, I tried, I don't like it, but I'd rather just like that one be the last one for this chapter of it and move on from this, please, because MVP could do so much better with Bobby or somebody else that really needs it.
If you told me that whatever is Shake a Leg Shanky, whatever he's doing on SmackDown would be more entertaining than Omos, I would have killed you. And then turns out it actually is slightly funnier. Only slightly, it has to be said. Also, no idea why he's trying to pull Ricochet's misses, but it is what it is. No clue. If anything, he's a bit nefarious and a bit of a heel for trying to mac on somebody else's wife or fiance or whatever she is. But you know, we're cool here. I think Omos and MVP pick up the win, probably because of shenanigans bullshit. Wouldn't surprise me if Cedric Alexander interferes as well, because my God, how far he's fallen as well. I mean, I didn't think he could fall any further when he was just a 205 Live lackey, but he has somehow gone even further. I'm well impressed. Just leave now, mate, and go to AEW Doc. Fucking hell. Don't care. Really don't care. The match isn't going to be very good either because Omos can't work. The only upside to it is at least if MVP's in it, he can do a bit of work with Lashley. So, but I don't care. I've seen that enough times, and I just feel sorry for Bobby Lashley. He doesn't benefit from this. He's lost his manager. He feels less of a big deal because he hasn't got his mouthpiece. Like, everybody loses here. Everybody loses. That's why I don't like it. Let's talk about something that will actually be good. I would hope so anyway. It's my brethren, my Middle Eastern brother from another mother. It is Mustafa Ali challenging Theory, just Theory, because apparently two names of. I hate you, Vince McMahon. Theory for the United States Championship in a straight up singles match. Of course, Theory took advantage of Mustafa Ali on Raw, beat the crap out of him, gave him his title match, and obviously took advantage of the fact that he decked him beforehand. So Adam Pearce comes out and says, okay, I don't like that. And Vince, oh God, the storytelling on Raw is horrible. Who wrote this? A child. So the idea is Adam Pearce apparently gets a message from Vince McMahon, because Vince McMahon will waste his time talking to Adam Pearce, and says, hey, put Theory in a straight up one-on-one match with Mustafa Ali so that he can have a fair fight against Theory for the title, even though I'm a massive heel, I'm an arsehole, and Theory has clearly been made my sort of protege. It makes no sense whatsoever. But from a wrestling standpoint, this should absolutely slap. So there is that. Who you got? Is Theory retaining?
I feel like being that Theory is like Vince McMahon's like protege. That's why I pick him to win. But I would rather have Mustafa win in his hometown. I feel like it rarely happens in WWE nowadays. So I would like that hometown win and to have that celebration after he wins too. I think that would be lovely, and to see him after everything he's been through lately. So it'll be nice to see that, visualized so far. But I feel like Theory's gonna win it though.
Yeah, it's in Chicago. I've totally forgotten it's Mustafa Ali's hometown, which makes me even more excited because obviously I'm rooting for him because he's the only representation I've got. You're doing slightly better at the representation stakes than we are at the moment. I can tell you that much. Plus, I don't think Vince McMahon will ever pull the trigger on a major champion of Arabic descent. I just don't. I think he's a fucking closet racist. I do. It's very, not even closet, is it really? Let's be honest. I mean, he's been out of that closet for years. I just don't have faith in the company doing what is right and doing right by Mustafa Ali, who could be a big star. And we've known this for a long time now. It'll be a great match. Crowd will be red hot because Theory's going to get great heat. And he'll thrive off of that. I think he's another one who could legitimately be a star. And if they've earmarked him legitimately as a star, because apparently Vince does actually love him, and he must do, because he would never go on TV with a wrestler otherwise, we could be in for, exciting years to come, because he's 23, 24, like he's still crazy young. He could be the next face of the company, and that's quite cool to see that they have earmarked another star, because as much as I love the new Roman Reigns, he can't do it by himself for the rest of his life. I don't want him to end up like John Cena, where he just gets fucking oversaturated and infuriating, and that's kind of the case already. I think Theory retains, but I think this match will be probably the sleeper hit of the night, especially for wrestling. It's going to be great. The crowd's going to be red hot. They're good. I can't wait. Cannot wait. But as always, I expect Vince McMahon to shaft it to the hometown boy, and especially my Middle Eastern brother. And I expect Theory to retain. I mean, I'm only watching it for one person, if I'm being honest. Finn Balor, AJ Styles, and Liv Morgan, the new Bullet Club, if you want to call it that, face the Judgment Day. Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley. 6-person mixed tag team match. Nothing on the line here other than pride, which automatically means nobody really cares that much. Quick question. How's the Judgment Day been for you? Do you like it? Do you think is it a poor man's House of Black, as all the AEW marks say, or is it better than the House of Black? Is it okay? Is it the new Brood? Where's it hit for with you? How do you feel about it?
I don't see it like a House of Black kind of thing. I feel like they do have their own direction towards it. I feel like so far it's been okay. I'm hoping something like will kind of give us that catapult towards it to make it better. But I'm intrigued. So I want to know more how anything involves with them. If they add more people, like Edge hasn't like teasing so many people on Twitter. So that's interesting to think about. It's like you never know which one of those people will join next. But yeah, just like somebody like Ciampa, and like I would like him to join after seeing that rumor. I was like, I would love to see that picture of all four of them in the ring together like this. But I love seeing that the girls are involved too. It's usually doesn't happen when they have ladies in here. They have the ladies face each other, but they don't include them in a match like this. So it's nice to see that they included them here somehow, and even facing each other on Raw is like the girls face each other, the guys face each other, we mix them and they give us a good combination of them. So that's why it's been interesting for me in that sense of it. So that's why I'm really excited, mostly because I get to see the girls in something like this. I see them like with the main event kind of guys like Edge and AJ Styles to get involved in something like this. So that's the part that I enjoy the most. But yeah, it's like I don't care who wins on this one because I really like both teams. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I like both teams. They're all like really likable people that I love and enjoy and want to do well. So it's like I'm not that bothered who wins. I'll probably just root for Liv Morgan's team because I'm in love with Liv Morgan. So that's cool. That's all I care about ever. The first is real. I like AJ Styles. It's nice to see him in good matches at least. Finn Balor's great wrestler, not a big gimmick. Obviously, he's got a bit of a lower ceiling, I feel. Priest has the potential to be a megastar, and hopefully this will be the catapult for him. Hopefully we're going to see later down the line that people are going to be, oh wow, Damian Priest is like, he's a big star. And this was what helped him get to it because he had Edge in his corner. Rhea Ripley feels like a bigger star for this as well. I think originally I thought they've obviously not really got faith in Rhea Ripley. Don't know why. She's got everything. She's beautiful. She's hot, powerful, big, muscular woman as well. Like, Charlotte Flair's got all the tools. She's kind of like Charlotte Flair, but a little bit more gothic in many ways, and that's cool. She's kind of got an alternative about her, and you can't help but feel that 20 years ago she would have been a monster megastar, and I don't know, maybe WWE are just a little bit meh about it. But like you say, it's nice to see the women getting good use. It'll be a good match. I expect Judgment Day to win because it doesn't really make sense for them to lose on a pay-per-view, especially not when they've only really just kind of formed up as this trio. Wouldn't surprise me if they unveil another member. And yeah, I'd like to see Ciampa. There is the potential rumor going around that maybe Cesaro might be a pick for them because apparently he's back on the chopping block. Do you think Cesaro would be a good fit for Judgment Day?
I think it'll be nice to just see him do something different. He's always been in teams that are just have been like nothing out of the ordinary, and I think this is a little bit different from what the usual teams are like. So it'll be nice to see him because if he gets to team up with Damian, that'll be nice. Him and Edge teaming up, that's nice too. And him and Rhea teaming up, giving all the combinations you got there. I don't mind it.
I think I wouldn't like to see them have any more than one more bloke in there. I would like to see them add another woman, preferably, just so they have that extra. Don't know who I would personally pick for the women's side of things. Maybe someone who isn't getting as much rub of the green as they should. Someone like Shayna Baszler would fit quite nicely, actually, really nicely. And just because bloody hell, that women's match on SmackDown was atrocious. I'm sorry, but it was. Like, it's not even because the women can't wrestle. For some reason, it was just fucking garbage, and I don't know why. And it doesn't help when you start off the match with one of them locked in a room. God awful. I just want to review SmackDown at this point and tell the world how shit it was. But yeah, no. This 6-person intergender tag match will be quite good. Obviously, we won't get much in the way of male versus female interaction, but can't complain too much. And we know it's WWE. You're not going to get that. And it's not like AEW is pushing the boat out with that either. They're not touching the intergender stuff either. So it is what it is. But yeah, I've got the Judgment Day winning. That leaves two fairly whopper matches here. So it'll be the main event, but we'll talk about it now because I feel like the women should always get marquee value, especially at WrestlePlug. Cody Rhodes versus Seth Freakin Rollins inside Hell in a Cell. There's only one question really here other than who wins, and that is, does Bray Wyatt return and attack Seth Rollins? Because that's basically all anyone's talking about on the internet.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I didn't see anything about that one. That'd be cool to see though. But it just feels like one of those.
Okay.
It'll be a good excuse for Seth to lose to Cody again, because why will he lose in 3 pay-per-views in a row to Cody like this? I mean, the first one kind of makes sense because being that he was surprised, but after that, it doesn't really make sense storyline wise of why he will lose the other 2 matches. But it happens. But I feel like it's great to see these two. They steal the show whenever they wrestle, so I don't mind seeing it, but I'm hoping it will lead to something else after this, whatever it is for both of them, because obviously a third one that just seems like enough for me, especially being in the Hell in a Cell. It's one of those like, this is how you end it, to like kill each other after this. But yeah, I don't mind seeing both of these wrestle too. I love both of them, but I wish I could see Rollins win it, but I think it'll be more towards Cody.
Yeah, I think Cody should win because he feels like a megastar. Do you know what? People can say what they like, and I'm sure the AEW fans are desperate for him to fail because he left us. He's like the jilted ex that walked out on the relationship, and it's like, man, just let it go. You've got umpteen amounts of stars. Stop complaining. For me, I'd like to see Cody elevated to a point where he can be WWE champion. That's what I want to see. I feel like he's good enough to be in that position. I always said when we were reviewing AEW as well, and I'm very proud of the fact that, he was more of a sports entertainer. He was the guy who gave you the creative storyline matches. He had that great match with John Moxley. He had that great match. I think Jericho was his first kind of title run where he said, if I don't beat you, I'll never be a champion. He had that great little rivalry with him. He got the great rivalry out of MJF where he took the whip in off of Wardlow and MJF and stuff. Like, he actually was kind of trailblazing. And then it just tailed off and he started becoming very obnoxious and very boring and very bland and very sports entertainery. And the crowd turned on it very quickly. Whereas the WWE audience are like, that's good shit because it's catered to them. They're a less hardcore audience. So when they see Cody Rhodes, they're like, wow, that's a really good sports entertainer who can also do a bit of the wrestling. So, and Seth Rollins has really sort of blurred the lines as to what a great wrestler / sports entertainer is. You never know whether he's one or the other. And I think it'll be a great match. I'm a little bit concerned because I've already seen it twice. So how much more can you do, even though there's a cell in there? Also, it just doesn't feel like enough of a blood rivalry to be inside Hell in a Cell. But let's be honest, the Hell in a Cell is just such a gimmick match now. We don't really take it that seriously. I don't look at it the way I did, say, 98, where if you're inside Hell in a Cell, I thought someone would actually die. Nowadays, I'm like, great, there's some added gimmicks, some more steel. Okay, steel cage with a roof on it, whatever. Just doesn't feel like a big deal anymore. And that's the problem with gimmick pay-per-views for me. Cody Rhodes to win, just because why would he lose? Wouldn't make sense. Seth Rollins, though, they've got to find something pretty good and a pretty good excuse as to why he loses, because you don't want one of your big marquee guys to keep losing every pay-per-view, and that'll be 3 straight pay-per-view losses. And that doesn't happen very often, especially in WWE, never mind anywhere else, where they love a bit of 50-50 booking. So maybe it depends. I'm going to say Cody Rhodes wins, but I could see Seth Rollins winning, but only if somebody attacks Cody Rhodes. So maybe they got something in mind for him to get him away from Seth Rollins.
That's true. Yeah.
So it could go either way. But I'll say Cody Rhodes, and who cares? There's nothing on the line. There's no forfeits here, and I'm still waiting for Jay Miller to down his pint of fucking A1 sauce, the Welch. You still owe me that, bitch. By the way, Mustafa Ali, if he wins the United States title tonight, that'd be funny because it's about 3 weeks too late for Jay Miller's bet, which I think is really amusing. And of course, what I think should be the main event, frankly, because I think it's going to be the best match. The triple threat women's championship match. The Raw women's title will be on the line, Bianca Belair defending against Becky Lynch and Asuka, the Empress of Never, because she's already lost twice and she's only been back a month. Who's booking this crap? I'm furious. Like, Asuka is so good. Like, she deserves better. But I don't want her to go to AEW because then she'll just get forgotten. But just go back to Japan and kill it, Be Stardom champion for like 2 years running, whatever. Who you got?
Well, I got Bianca retaining because I feel like the way it's been so far, I wouldn't have her lose like this. And I think this is why we have 3 people, just to like protect somebody else in the way while this is happening. This is one of those matches that I would have liked it to be in a Hell in a Cell, just to make the girls look tougher in this situation. And we don't have a ladies Hell in a Cell in this pay-per-view. The last time we had it, at least, and this time we don't. But I think what makes Bianca look stronger, like having defeat the girls in a Hell in a Cell type of match, because it obviously make it look more extreme. But yeah, I think it's just Bianca winning it more than anything. And hopefully it'll be Bianca and Asuka after that, because I think Becky could take a backseat to the championship picture and just go and have a rivalry with somebody else instead.
Yeah, I haven't enjoyed Becky Lynch at all since she came back. I think she's been very bland. She hasn't been terrible. She's just been very mediocre for me. Some of her matches have been good. Her match with Bianca Belair at WrestleMania was amazing. And she's definitely a better wrestler, but I'm still not convinced. I've never liked her character, as you know. I don't like her promos. I think she's slightly better now that she's more committed to being a heel. Like when she first came back, she was supposed to be a heel, but she was still getting cheered and she was playing up to the cheers, and that pisses me off. Like if you're a heel, do your job. Like you're given a job to do. Be an asshole. Get them to boo you. Especially with the crowds being super obnoxious lately, I've noticed, particularly on NXT. The crowd at NXT is so obnoxious, like almost going too far the other way. But for me, I'm not that bothered. I really like Asuka, so I'd be very happy if she won. But already it feels like she's right back into just being another woman. She doesn't feel very special. They've done a really good job making her feel special for just 1 week and then burying the shit out of her. Don't get it. Don't get it at all. And also they're back to doing the whole screamy, shouty Japanese stuff. Like she can speak English. They let her speak English. Admittedly, it's not her strongest language. I've heard her on podcasts speak quite normally. So what does she need to? Am I the only one who finds it slightly culturally insensitive? The way she just screams Japanese, the way they tell her to ramp up the accent, just makes me feel uncomfortable. It does, coming from me of all people. I just find it a little bit stupid and insensitive. I find it a bit weird. So yeah, Bianca Belair makes sense to retain. I just hope the match is really good. I worry with a triple threat dynamic that they might get in the way of each other, and I'm a little concerned because I've seen some women's matches lately in WWE and they've all been pretty rotten. The quality of women's matches lately has gone right down, and I don't know whether that's because Charlotte Flair's taking a break, because Ronda Rousey's not in the ring as much. Maybe they're using people who shouldn't be wrestling as much. I mean, Natalia is the next contender for Ronda Rousey. I'm like, really? Like the least charismatic person in the entire company is going to face arguably your biggest marquee star. That is a terrible decision. Also, why is she wearing yellow? Doesn't make any
Plus she's gonna lose anyway, so just like what's the point? It's gonna be like Roman but in the women's division. No matter who she faces, we know Ronda's winning.
Yeah, no, like I actually was excited about Raquel versus Ronda, and I thought more of that. I'll have that on pay-per-view. Nah, let's waste it on SmackDown. No, put it on. This should be on this pay-per-view. We should have Ronda versus Raquel, tonight if you're watching this. And instead, no SmackDown Women's Championship match. But Ronda can apparently sit there and watch 6 women pretend to wrestle for 10 minutes on SmackDown. So, oh, Jesus Christ. It can't be that hard to book this, but apparently it is. So it is what it is. Are you excited about this pay-per-view? This premium live event? Are you excited about it? Do you feel like it's, because for me, kind of feels like a really, really good episode of Raw.
I mean, Raw has been better lately, at least for me. I've been enjoying it. I feel like I've been like, they have a lot of like storylines with the ladies that don't involve the titles. So I prefer that over what's happening on SmackDown.
Yeah, but they're not good.
Still, but you get the representation in SmackDown. It's just you barely get one match as it is.
But see, this is the thing. Like, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Representation only means something if they're actually doing something worthwhile. For instance, I have Mustafa Ali as representation. You let me know when he actually does anything worthwhile. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's all very like black representation, for instance. It has to mean something. You've got people there who are good enough to be champions. So when you have an African American champion, that's proper. For me, representation. For me, representation isn't about they're there, so good for you. Like, yeah, cool. Like, because you could do that of anyone. Are you gay? Excellent. It's Pride Month. Get in there and stand there and wear a fucking rainbow. That doesn't mean anything. The people have talent, accentuate the talent, then it's proper representation. I would never, ever allow anyone to come on my podcast and say that Raw is good, because it's not. It is atrocious. It is terrible. It is.
It's better than SmackDown, at least, though. I've been noticing it's gotten better than SmackDown, though.
Oh, that's brave. That's very brave with the tribal beef running around. It depends.
Yeah, but if you think about SmackDown, you only think of Roman Reigns. Outside of that, I feel like there's nothing else. Like, it almost feels like nothing else going on. Versus, like, look at here. You have Cody and Rollins. You have the ladies. You have Mustafa and Theory, and then you still have Judgment Day versus the New Bullet Club, as you want to call it. So it's a little bit more than just Roman Reigns on this.
Yeah, they definitely have better stories, but I will concede that like I'm more intrigued by the Raw matches that they have. But the actual show is so badly written. I just think, ugh. But I will say this: SmackDown is definitely trying its hardest to be as bad. Like this week's SmackDown was horrible. Even the main event wasn't that good, actually. This is what happens. This is brilliant. They bin off all their tag teams, and now they're fucking ruining the day because, of course, the Usos have stood there like, I'm going on the wrestle, mate. There's nobody here. What about the New Day? No, they've got to run around and be friends with Drew. And what is it? The Brutes? Oh, God, what the fuck is that? Pete Dunne, thanks for coming, buddy. At least you got a win. Fuck me. WWE is really bad at the moment, actually. Really, it's going. Do you know what? I was watching SmackDown. I don't know if you agree. It feels like it's going back to that early 90s era where they had all those stupid comic book characters. The Goon and all that. They've got loads of stuff like that. Have you noticed this? The Brawler, Theory, Riddle. It's like all really cheap, nasty comic book characters that nobody wants to see. Instead of letting them be themselves. Even Ricochet, it's like, he feels so cheap and tacky. Like, I'm a superhero. No, you're not. You're a wrestler. Grow up. Okay.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the only good thing happening on SmackDown feels like it's anything with the bloodline. And right now, Roman wasn't even on TV, so I wasn't even good about the show itself. Versus, I feel like Raw has been giving us a little bit more like different storylines and different things going on, and it's not just one. Like the show doesn't revolve around one person, which is what I've been liking more than anything. So.
But then I also feel like Raw suffers from not having a heavyweight champion. Doesn't feel like there's a big star on it. Although it's all timing as well. I love the Cody Rhodes Seth Rollins segment. I thought it was brilliant. And that was my favorite segment that WWE did all week, was that little rivalry, that sort of war they had. And yet it was in the first hour, closed the first half of the show. And you're like, why is that in the middle of Raw? And Omos and Ashley contract signing is the main event. Are you mad? It's because Vince has a chubby on for giant muscular guys, doesn't he? And he's like, that's got a main event because that's money. It's like, no, it's not. This is why you have shit ratings, because your show is badly, badly booked. So even when you do have good stuff on it, yeah. At this point, I feel like Liv Morgan could get naked and it still wouldn't breach 2 million viewers. She could literally come out and have sex and I'll be like, I'm watching, but ultimately it's still not going to breach 2 million because it's a bad TV show. However, I'm looking forward to watching it with friends. You're welcome to join us, by the way. I don't know if you're doing watch alongs or working with Love Wrestling on this one. I do know that you're watching the In Your House pay-per-view tonight and probably covering it for that. Now, when this drops, In Your House would have already happened. I'm probably going to chill out, watch that tonight and record a cheeky little review later. If anyone wants to join, they're welcome to. Hint, hint. But before we wrap it all up and before we let people go and enjoy this mediocre pay-per-view, tell us all about what you're doing at Love Wrestling, and not to mention Astrid Asks with all these fantastic interviews.
Yeah, I do Tuesdays. I do NXT, so reviewing NXT after it happens. And then Wednesdays, we do what we call all elite sidecast. So we watch along to AEW. And then usually at least once a month, I've been dropping the interviews on the Astrid Asks. I'm filming one today and then one next week. So hopefully they'll drop as it goes like that. Yeah, and sometimes even Saturdays, we do blowing off stream. So we play video games and we chill. And then Sundays, sometimes I do Sunday brunch and we just talk about whatever happened in the weekend wrestling. So anything like that, if you follow the Love Wrestling social media, they'll tell you what's going on and who's on it. But yeah, the interviews are mostly on the YouTube channel, on the Love Wrestling YouTube channel, so you can find that in their social media as well.
Yeah, check out Love Wrestling. Got some great content. Obviously, the content with Astrid is better than everything else, so make sure you check that out before you do anything else. It's just my opinion, buddies. Relax. Astrid's better than all of you. Deal with it. Yeah, and the interviews are great. Astrid Asks is really what I want to hone in on because that's good stuff. I know how difficult it is to sit down and talk to wrestlers. All your guests have been amazing. Some wonderful women of wrestling who have really stood out to me, and I've sat there and thought, wow, I've really become fans of them just from watching your content. So we appreciate watching it, and we recommend that everyone at home checks it out as well. It's Love Wrestling, of course, on social media. If you want to find Astrid personally, she has social media as well, Twitter and Instagram, but mostly Twitter is where you like to operate, isn't it? What's your Twitter handle?
Yeah, my name is like Astrid Bizarre. I'm used to like the other side of the screen. There you go.
We can swap it around if you like. I always like to have the guest in the prominent position, you know? Yeah. There.
I keep thinking about it. Yeah, I'm used to it.
Astrid and Love Wrestling's social media handles will be in the description of this podcast. So never fear if you did miss it, just go and click on it. check it out and check out what Astrid is doing, because she's actually building an amazing little portfolio for herself in wrestling, and we're all very proud of her here at Wrestle Plug. I especially am very proud of her. It's almost like seeing my daughter achieve something wonderful. I'm very proud of her. We're all very proud of you, dear, here at the Wrestle Plug. Well done. And obviously, when I'm long gone in a few years from a massive coronary heart attack, Astrid will probably take over at Wrestle Plug and clean it up and make it a little bit more respectable. So you might as well get used to her face now while you have the opportunity. But from myself, Aeron X, and especially from Astrid Pizzaro, thank you very much for joining us at the Wrestle Plug. Enjoy Hell in a Cell tonight. Make sure you check out Astrid's content, and we'll catch you very soon for more shenanigans and a review of Hell in a Cell.